Three bars on me, I ain't talking about the Wi-Fi, Ben 10 wrist, I ain't talking about the sci-fi. Look at mine, not the same color as my cock, feeling like Messi, trying to kick it like soccer.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to Turbo's Garage. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers, which is pretty dope. Shout out to all you guys. You guys been like giving so much love to the channel, but especially really with this video today, we're going to be starting and beginning the Turbo LS build for the 240SX. So I kind of alluded to this, especially in some comments on YouTube, especially people ask, "Oh, you Turbo LS swap it? Are you LS swap it? Are you doing SR? Are you doing RB? Whatever." I kind of said I'm going LS. Kind of left it open for a lot of options, but especially my mind is dead set on a Turbo LS build. I've just bought and just purchased a 4.8 Gen 4 4.8 long block, especially from Higher Performance. From here, we're actually going to do a full build on this. I'm going to fully document everything else. So this is going to be one of these builds that is not going to be, it's going to be budget in a sense, but it's not going to be like eBay stuff. So I'm not going to be using like Chinese brand head bolts, this and that, like keeping everything else at a low minimum cost. I really want to do very, very good times. I actually want to make it like kind of a drag race build, but still streetable where I can do roll racing and things like that. But as well, it's still going to be a somewhat, I mean, expensive build in my realm. I mean, I'm not some rich guy off of YouTube and shit. So the fact is, I mean, it's expensive to me. To other people, they can probably just purchase this with one check. So with me, I'm doing the build in sections, especially first off, I'm gonna be getting the engine completely boost ready, which means head studs, rebuilding the full bottom end on it, especially heads, intake, injectors, fuel system, all that for the engine, then going to the transmission. I don't really know yet which one I want to go with, T56 or auto. Auto, I mean, it's kind of just, it's very, very easy, and you're gonna be running very, very good times right out of the box. I know I've never driven a manual car, so I'm kind of leaning towards auto, but it kind of depends. It's still up in the air. And then from there, actually, the next step of that, gutting the 240, and from there, getting the swap kit for it, pitting everything in, doing the diff, doing the tires, doing suspension, and getting this thing ready to actually race. And now it's gonna need a paint job as well, but all in together, this is gonna be the beginning of the 240 build. So make sure you subscribe, because I'm really gonna try to put this in a lot of detail with it, and just going through the whole process of actually Turbo LSing a 240. So let's go. So here's the motor in all its glory, or dirtiness, whatever you want to call it. But it's a 4.8 Gen 4 long block, especially just got it from a running and driving truck. The main thing, especially when you go in to buy these used engines, make sure it comes from like a running and driving truck rather than something that's just been sitting, because you don't know if it's been sitting because the motor has blown. Now, the easy, cheap way that a lot of people do it is they just take the motor as a pull-out, throw an intake on it or whatever, and they'll just go run it with boost. I don't want to do that, because I want my stuff to be reliable, and at the same time, I want to have a higher horsepower capability. So I'm going to be doing head studs, especially gapping the rings. I'm really going to be doing a full rebuild on this 4.8. So it's not really going to be anything like it is in the stock form, because especially I want to be able to push like 15, 18, maybe 20 psi boost if I'm lucky through this motor. Especially one thing to notice, if you're going after 5.3s and 4.8s or even 6.0s, look to get the ones that have been made after 2005, which is going to be like the Gen 4 motors. They come with the stronger internals on them, so especially those are really going to be very, very capable of making high-end horsepower and being reliable at those horsepower and boost levels. So especially, this is the motor that's going to be in the 240 very, very soon. Just got it. I just bought the Brian Tooley Stage 2 turbo cam, head studs. I mean, the thing is going to be very, very legit.
It's being completely rebuilt.
Completely rebuilt. Now, transmission wise, I'm leaning towards auto, just because I actually want this thing to leave the line very, very quickly, be a very, very consistent car. And I just want to take the variable of me as a driver completely out of it. I've never even driven a manual car before. So definitely I'm not going to be trying to learn that on an 800 horsepower vehicle. So I've heard a lot of good things with autos, especially with Mike. He hooked me up with the engine, basically hooking me up with everything. I mean, just parts, labor, everything. So also as well, he's had a very, very good setup with an auto through a 240, so I'm probably gonna try to replicate that. If I find a deal on a T56 that's been built, I may go with that. It just kind of depends in the meantime. I don't plan on getting a transmission until probably around next month. I just want to piece everything out slowly. I don't want to just drop 10K all at once and be eating ramen for like 3 or 4 months. So at the same time, kind of want to do everything slowly and just part everything out together. So this is the motor that's going into the 240SX. Now, first of all, I know I got a lot of questions on Instagram and DMs. Follow me on Instagram, Turbo's Garage, by the way. But I got a lot of questions on why not get like a LS1 or get the LS1 out of the TA and just swap it into the 240 and do something like that. Now, there's really two reasons for that. The main thing of it is LS1s and the LS series of motors, like not just LSX, like people have like 530, they call it the LSX, but I'm talking about the actual LS series of motors, LS1, LS2, LS3, LS6, all those are actually aluminum motors, so they're lighter. But what I've heard is especially they don't have the structural rigidity of the iron blocks, especially like the 5.3s, the 4.8s, and the 6.0s, the 6.0 like the truck motors, for example. So especially with that, they're not as good on boost. This is all what I'm hearing on through forums and shit like that, and it kind of, I mean, these guys have more experience with these motors than me. The second part of it is LS1s are Gen 3 motors, so they don't have the internals like the Gen 4, 4.8s, 5.3, 6.0s, for example. So if you look at the stock bottom end record, like horsepower record for the 5.3 is actually higher than the stock bottom end LS1 record. So, and that just shows you that the actual 5.3s, the 4.8s, and Gen 4s are actually built better than the LS1s. The LS1s, even though they're bigger displacement, 5.7 liters, then they don't have the power capabilities of the 4.8s, 5.3s, and 6.0s, especially whenever they have boost through them. So that's really going to be the two reasons why I'm not using a motor like what's in the Trans Am as well. So especially once this gets swapped out, and I take the KA out, the KA Auto, I don't need this anymore. So especially if you guys looking for a KA, I'm gonna be selling one real soon. So I'm not gonna use anything in this engine bay. This engine bay is gonna get completely gutted. It's just gonna just be, I don't even know, brake master cylinder there. And everything else is gone. Battery is getting relocated. I had to take the whole front off. I'm thinking about doing a Koki swap for the front of it. I'm gonna probably do that later. I'm gonna do that after everything is completely swapped in. So I don't want to be doing a Koki swap while I'm trying to transfer the motor in, and don't want to ding up the front and everything else like that. But as well, the car's gonna be completely gutted. That's why I kind of wanted to do a LS engine, because I know LS's are aluminum, they're lighter. So it's gonna kind of save around 100 pounds on the front end, and especially since I'm doing turbo, manifolds, intercooler, I mean E-fans, all that extra weight and stuff like that, especially as well. You can kind of see how the weight is gonna add up, but I'm gonna just gut the car, run it iron through the front. Mike, who's building the car for me and building the engine, he had a very, very similar setup before. I'm actually trying to copy his build technically, just kind of like, not parts wise, but just like the overall setup, kind of do a very, very similar setup. And his thing ran like 9's. So especially my goal with this car, especially once it gets the LS swap in it, and the turbo kit and everything is fully done, I'm really aiming for low 10s, maybe high 9s, especially after everything gets completely dialed in. So it's gonna be a very, very quick setup. I want to set it up for drags. Later on, I'll get a 240 just purely for drifting and stuff like that. So I kind of want to have two 240s just later on, but for now, I just want to build a drag build. But and the reason I want to build a drag build is because like the TA, even as awesome as it is, I want to keep it at a very, very streetable form. I don't want to make this like this crazy ass car, especially I want to keep it very, very streetable. But outside of that, that's really what I'm doing on this side. So I hope this video wasn't too short. This is basically really what it's going to be, is all about really kind of like an intro into the build and what we're doing, the plans and everything else like that. So especially just look for on the channel to have build videos of the 240, so especially the engine build, everything from the machine shop all the way till like installing the heads, head studs, or really like putting the turbo cams in, all that type of stuff, as well the transmission, swapping the motors out, putting in like suspension parts, especially like wheels and tires, things like that, gutting the car, maybe throwing the cage in it if I'm lucky. So a lot of these things, especially look for that on the channel in the next couple of months. But especially this is just like a little update. This is really what we're doing now. Before I cut to some awesome footage, especially a couple days ago we went to IFO, which is Import Face Off in Baton Rouge State Capitol Raceway. Got some pretty good shots. Mike's truck. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me for like more footage of that white 6.0 shop truck, because it was in a couple races on the channel. So especially here's some gratuitous violence from Howard Performance. Alright.